Order. Welcome. Wow.
The same for the city of Temple Terrace, and I think the time we were looking at would be starting the state of emergency for the city of Temple Terrace would be 6 o'clock tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Tomorrow. So if you feel as though that would be something you'd like to do, I think that would be probably something that we would encourage. Now, one thing we have done is we're going to make sure that we have the number of employees staffing the EOC and working that we need, but also understanding that we're not going to bring in everybody or staff positions that we don't think are essential. So we're looking at probably either tomorrow night or Thursday morning, at least partially staffing the EOC. We're going to really have a good idea what this storm is going to do by tomorrow morning, or a better idea of what it's going to do by tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. Then what we do is we figure out what we need staffing wise at the EOC, and then we expand that outward to other employees. But we've certainly on the fire side, and we've asked all the directors to make sure they reach out to all their essential employees so they all know that what they need to be doing and where they need to be over the next few days.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Fernandez.
So how can city residents find out if they are in an area that they should be evacuating or thinking of evacuating because of, obviously it's the water issues? normally I know Temple Terrace is higher than other areas, but how would they find that out?
Yeah, so the county publishes all that information on flood zones and evacuation zones. I would imagine they have not, to my knowledge, and I've been in and out of the office and on phone calls, but usually they disseminate that. They will disseminate that information pretty soon, and I would imagine there are going to be some evacuations, and they obviously start from the beach and waterside, and then move inland. To my knowledge, since I've worked here, we haven't had an evacuation order here in the city of Temple Terrace. I don't anticipate this being one as either. This is an interesting storm where normally you have a lot of, of course, a lot of times it starts further out, further south, and we have an idea of what it's doing, and you have the spaghetti models all over the place. This one, hit the warm water, anticipating to be a hurricane, and then really the spaghetti models, if anybody's looked at them, they really all pretty much show going, 100 miles above Tampa Bay, but there are, I think, maybe 2 models that show it just catching the tip of us. So, our biggest concern is it making a drastic turn at some point, or starting to inch over to the east. So we're keeping an eye on that. But so basically, what they need to do is stay watching the news. Also, Hillsborough County will be publishing information on their website, and my assumption is we'll grab some of that information. Our PIO officer will also send that out if there's any type of evacuations for Temple Terrace. Our PIO officer will get that information out.
Then I have another question.
Okay.
This has to do with drainage and the water runoff, and I just want to make sure that we have the capacity. I know Swift Mud will have looked at the bypass canal and opened whatever,
Right.
released whatever water they need, but for our process, we've had so much rain recently. Have we done everything we need to do to make sure that we have capacity for a
So,
large amount
Yeah,
of
so
rain?
Troy Tench does a great job over in utilities, and my understanding, and we're talking to him, is that, they've already gone through all the pump stations. Pump stations are working, and they've made sure we have enough fuel for the generators, and also they're going around today as well, making sure all the drainage issues where we normally have issues. A lot of times, all that is debris gets on top of some of our drainage, and it doesn't take long for debris to just flood a whole area. So I think that's what happens to a lot of areas is we're just not getting the water's going to the right spot. It's just clogging up. So not only does his crew check that out, but periodically through the storm, when they're able to, they go out, and we know exactly where those problem areas are. So he'll get out there and get his crews out there to watch that it doesn't clog up as much as we can.
Councilmember Chambers.
Yeah, thank you. Is Pizzo and/or Greco still public shelters?
Yeah, so they are still identified as, so Greco is a county shelter, a county employee shelter, so it is not a public shelter. They haven't opened the shelters up yet, but I'm assuming they will be. But Pizzo's, my understanding, is still a public shelter. Greco is a county shelter, and something that was not mentioned, Mr. City Manager, this morning was that that also, they have opened that up for city employees as well. But it's county employees and city employees can go to Greco, or the city employees also can go to Temple Terrace Elementary.
Do we have any fire or police presence at those 2 shelters? Not Temple Terrace, but the other 2?
We will, should they open.
Okay.
Yep. It would either be us or the county. We've gone back and forth, but Greco, there's always been an understanding that Temple Terrace Police and Fire will staff if they're open.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, Mr. Nazario, anything to add?
The council to kindly consider declaring a state of emergency. It allows us to access resources that are available to us and work in tandem with the county so that we're efficient and our efforts are aligned. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mueller.
If I can just follow up on that, in order to pass the emergency ordinance, we need a 2/3 vote of the council. We have 2/3 present.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, what's being contemplated here is a Temple Terrace declaration of emergency effective 6 PM Wednesday evening, tomorrow night. Oftentimes people wonder why we do that when the county has already declared a state of emergency. And in fact, the governor has already declared emergency exists in this county too. The reason that we do our own declaration is because it triggers some internal things for us in terms of payroll, procurement, some of our collective bargaining units and so forth. So there are things internally that require a local declaration of emergency in addition to the county's declaration, and that's why we do it. Under our ordinance, it takes the city council to declare the state of emergency at a certain effective time, which runs for a period up to 7 days, and the city manager, under our ordinance, is authorized then to end the state of emergency at the appropriate time. So as long as I've been involved, we've never had one that ran for the full 7 days. We declare it, and then whenever it's appropriate, the city manager calls it off and ends it. And so that's what we're being asked to do. Right now, what the move that we're being asked to do is to declare a local state of emergency effective at 6 PM Wednesday, tomorrow. And what's the date tomorrow? September 25th. So is there a motion or discussion?
So move to approve the state of emergency beginning Wednesday, September 25th at 6 PM.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there discussion?
We could read the
Yeah,
ordinance.
okay. Is there discussion? If not, I'll ask the clerk to read the title of the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Temple Terrace, Florida, declaring a state of local emergency in response to the threat posed by Tropical Cyclone 9, Hurricane Helene, authorizing the city manager to extend or rescind the state of emergency as necessary, suspending all ordinances and rules inconsistent with sections 252.31 through 252.90 of the Florida statutes, Executive Order 24-208, or this emergency ordinance through the duration of this emergency, adopting and incorporating State of Florida Executive Order 24-208 into this emergency ordinance and providing an effective date.
Very good. All those in favor, say aye.
Roll
Aye.
call?
I'm sorry?
We need a roll
We
call?
don't think
Roll call.
we do need a roll call vote?
We need to, the minutes will need to reflect how each council member voted.
Very well. Mr. Mueller, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Abel?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers?
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez?
Yes.
Good. Motion, ordinance is adopted unanimously. Is there any other business to come before the council? I think we're pretty limited in this meeting, but any other updates or information that we need to know? And I assume I know that our communications staff is putting out information to the public on a regular basis, so we'll continue along that track. Thank you again for all you and your staffs do for us. We don't need a hurricane for you guys to perform wonderful deeds, but we do appreciate that all you do for us, even in a state of emergency. So thank you for that. And thank you, Chief. So, okay, we will stand adjourned.